for this lesson, we're going to look at reading and plotting points in a coordinate plane. For our vocabulary, an ordered pair is the x and y values that tell us where a point is located, and it's always going to be in that order, x first and then y. So an example would be if I have 3, 2, that tells me that the x value is 3 and the y value is at 2. In a coordinate plane has, well, we're going to focus on the x-axis and y-axis. There are others, like when you get into higher levels of math, you might look at the z-axis and get like 3-dimensional graphs. We're just going to look at a 2-dimensional x-y axis, being able to plot points and tell us where they're at on a grid and compare points that way. There are 4 quadrants. It starts in the top right, and it goes counterclockwise, so backwards from a clock. So the quadrants then, this is going to be the top right, so this is quadrant 1. We go counterclockwise. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. The origin is at the center, and that is the point 0, 0. So this point here is the origin, 0, 0. And then we've already got the x-axis labeled, and that is the horizontal one. And the y-axis is labeled here, and that is the vertical axis going up and down. So these are some of the vocabulary words you would need to know that relate to the coordinate plane to be able to tell if a point is on an x-axis, is a point on the y-axis, is a point on the origin, or is a point in one of the quadrants, and if so, which quadrant is it in? And then we can practice a little bit. We're going to write the ordered pair for each point, and then we're also going to label the quadrants for some extra practice. So let's just go ahead and do the quadrants first. This is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, it goes counterclockwise, starting at the top right. And then let's start labeling these points. So this first one is 0, 0. For the rest of the points, we're always going to go x first and y second. And once we've gone both those directions, we find where the point's at, and that becomes our ordered pair or our coordinate. So let's head to this one here. We're going to go over to 4. So the x value would be 4, and then we're not going up or down any, so we don't go up or down at any. That's a 0. Let's look at this one here. For that one, we're going to go over here, which is halfway between 2 and 4. You can see that better. It's halfway between 2 and 4 here, so I can make this dotted line here. That might help, and make a dotted line over this way might help. So I can see that on the x-axis, it's at 3, because that's halfway between 2 and 4. On the y-axis, it's at 2, so it's at 3, 2. Then let's look at this one up here. I can make those dotted lines if I need to. As you get better at this, you won't need to do that. This is extra work. We're going to go left or right first. We always start at 0. We have to go over to the left to the -4. And then we have to go up to the 5, because it's halfway between 4 and 6. That would make that 5. So -4 on the x, +5 on the y. So that coordinate will be -4, 5. Let's just do one more, and then we'll be good with this one. Let's do this one down here. So we can make the dotted line if we need to. And on the x, we'll see we're going over halfway between 0 and 2, so this would be at 1. So we're going Actually, that's negative 1 because we're going to the left of 0. So this is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and so on. Negative 1 on the x. And then once I get to the negative 1, I have to go down to the negative 5 on the y. So negative 1, negative 5. Now we're going to go the other direction, and we might not do all of these, but we're going to do some of them. Is we're going to plot these points. So let's do A. A says we're going to plot the point 4, 1. So we always want to start at 0, 0. We have to go both directions, and then we make one single point. So A is at 4, 1. That's one single point, not 2 points. So I'm going to go over to the right to 4. I know that it's right because it's positive 4. I'm going to go over to positive 4. I'm drawing the line so you can see it. You're not going to draw the line. Then I'm going to go up to 1. And then wherever I end up, that's where the point goes. And again, you would not have those lines there. I am just showing you the line so I can tell where I'm going. So I started at 0. I went over to the right 4. Went over to the right 4, and then went up 1 and made our point. From B, again, I'm going to draw the lines. You would not draw the lines. B, we're going to go from 0. We always want to start at 0. We're going to go to positive 2, so that's going to be over here. I'm going to get to positive 2. And then after I get there, I need to go to negative 4, so that's down this way. And then once I've gone both directions, that's when I would make that point. And again, you would not draw those lines. You would just kind of follow with your finger or whatever you need to do. We can write these in here. So this was the point 4, 1. This was the point 2, negative 4. And then we'll do C also. C is going to be 0, negative 5. So again, I always start at the center, at the origin. And then the first number, the x number is 0, which means I'm not going to move left or right any. So I just stay right there on 0. And then I need to go negative 5. So that's going to go down to negative 5 here, and then I make my point. Again, you would not need to draw the line. So we had to go 0 left to right, so we just stayed in the center, and then down 5. So that is a point 0, negative 5. This was A, B, C. We can do one more. We can do E since it has another 0 in it. For E, we're going to go negative 3, so I'd go over to the left to negative 3. Once I get there, I would go 0 up or down, which means I'm not going to go up or down any. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my point. And again, you would not want to draw the line. You're just going to draw your dot. And this was negative 3, 0, and this was point E. We'll look at just one. Well, look at two more. This one's easy one. G is 0, 0. Well, that's just the origin. So that's G. That's 0, 0. I'm going to go anywhere. 0 left and right, and 0 up and down. Let's look at H. H will be our last one. I need to go 2.5. So go over to 2. I'm going to add some numbers. And halfway between 2 and 4 will be 3. But I want 2.5. So I want halfway between 2 and 3. So that's going to be right here. But again, we're not going to draw the point right there. First, we have to go 2.5. Now I've got to go negative 1.5, so that's down. So let's see. If I'm going down from the origin, this is 0. Here's my negative 2. Halfway between 0 and negative 2 will be negative 1. And we're looking for negative 1.5. So halfway between negative 1 and negative 2 is going to be here. So I need to go over this way, go down this way, so it's going to be right here. And that's going to be at 2.5, negative 1.5. So if you have decimals, then they just got to estimate on your graph where you feel like that decimal is going to be. When it's half like this, that's not so bad to estimate. It's right in between. But you might get some crazier decimals like 0.75, 0.82, 0.91, whatever it happens to be. Just estimate where you think those decimals need to go.